Okay, I have a number for you that I need us to just sit with for a second. 400. In the world of, big data or global software downloads, maybe 400 sounds like a rounding error.
Sure.
But we aren't talking about downloads today. We are talking about the Baton Rouge real estate market.
Which is a completely different beast.
Completely. And here is the context. The W Group has just hit this, a massive milestone. 400 Google reviews.
400.
And the kicker, they're holding a 4.9-star average.
And that is the statistic that actually made me stop and look. In the service industry, especially one as high stress, high emotion as real estate, maintaining a 4.9 average across that many reviews isn't just good.
No.
It's statistically weird. It's an anomaly.
It really is. Think about it. If you have 10 reviews, sure, maybe you have 10 great friends or a big family.
Right.
If you have 50, maybe you're on a lucky streak. But 400, that's 400 different families, different financial situations, different emotional states.
Exactly. In different houses. You can't look your way to 400. That requires a system.
And that is exactly our mission for this deep dive. We aren't just looking at a real estate team to, pat them on the back.
No.
We are looking at a data set. We have a stack of specific client testimonials reviews from just 3 days ago, all the way back to 45 weeks ago. Plus, we have a transcript of an interview analyzing this specific milestone.
Right. We're going to look at the what, the reviews, and the how, the interview transcript.
So whether you're looking to buy a house, or you run a business, or you just lead a team, we're going to try and decode the mechanics of trust here.
Yeah. We want to find out what separates good service from these elite systems, because the W Group has clearly figured out how to scale excellence.
Which is the hardest thing to do in business. So let's jump right into the data. If you look at the broad strokes of these 400 reviews, is there a consistent thread? Because in real estate, we all know the stereotype.
Okay.
It's the agent who is your best friend until you sign the listing agreement, and then poof.
Ghost town. The ghosting phenomenon. It is absolutely the #1 pain point in the industry.
You feel left in the dark.
Completely. You don't know if there have been showings. You don't know the feedback. It's just this vacuum of communication. But when you analyze these reviews, you see the exact opposite.
It's not just communication, it's the type of communication. I want to pull up a review from about 7 weeks ago by Jessica Hunt.
Jessica is a perfect case study.
Right.
Because of her specific profile, right? She wasn't a seasoned investor. She wasn't flipping her 5th property.
No.
She explicitly says she's a first-time home seller.
Which puts her in a very vulnerable position.
Extremely. She notes right in the review that she had a lot of questions and needed extra guidance. Now, just pause for a second. To a busy agent, a client with a lot of questions can sometimes feel like a burden.
Right, the high maintenance label gets thrown around.
But look at how Jessica describes her agent, Michael. She doesn't talk about the sale price first. She talks about the psychology of the transaction. She says his patience made the process manageable and stress-free. She says he explained every step clearly, so she never felt rushed or uninformed.
Never felt rushed or uninformed. That is such a specific and powerful compliment.
It is. And it tells us that Michael wasn't just replying to text messages. That's reactive.
You ask, I answer.
Right. What Michael did was proactive education. He anticipated that a first-time seller would be anxious about the inspection or the appraisal, and he filled that information gap before she even had a chance to spiral.
It's the difference between customer service and customer success.
Precisely. And we see this pattern repeated over and over in the data. Look at the review from Joshua Abshir.
Okay.
Talks about transparency and clarity. And he notes something I found really interesting about the leadership. He mentions that Trey Willard, who was the lead for the group, was individually available to answer my questions.
That stood out to me, too. Usually when a business scales to this point, the guy whose name is on the door is in a boardroom somewhere.
He's not taking calls about a termite inspection.
Right. But Joshua's review proves that they've managed to keep the leadership visible. However, and this leads us to the second pillar of their success, Trey isn't doing this alone.
He physically can't be.
No way. There aren't enough hours in the day to handle that kind of volume solo.
Exactly. You cannot hit this milestone with just one person working harder. You need an ecosystem.
So let's unpack this team ecosystem versus the solo agent. We have that interview transcript where they talk about this structure.
Yeah.
It's not just a lone wolf running around Baton Rouge putting signs in yards.
No, and the interview breaks it down beautifully. We talk about the team approach. It involves transaction coordinators, a dedicated marketing team, multiple agents working in sync.
And they use that quarterback analogy.
Yes, this is a really solid analogy. So Trey, or whoever the lead agent is the quarterback calling the plays.
Setting the strategy, handling the negotiation.
Right, the high-value touches. But they aren't necessarily the one taping the box, scheduling the photographer, or filing the paperwork at the courthouse.
And that allows the quarterback to actually focus on the game.
Exactly. If the quarterback is busy taping ankles, they can't throw the touchdown. And the clients notice this structure. If you look at Josh Webb Shear's review again, he says, "We watched W Group work together."
He saw the mechanics of it.
Yes. He mentions their creativity and outside-the-box thinking because the whole team understood what his family wanted.
It's funny you mentioned the team being visible to the client. I was looking at the review from Renee Stevens. She doesn't just thank the W Group generally.
No, she calls them out.
She calls out specific people. She says, Aaron and Hillary made selling my townhouse very smooth and fun.
Fun? Now, that is a word you rarely hear associated with selling a townhouse.
Not at all.
Usually the words are nightmare, headache, or stress.
Right. Smooth and fun. But it shows that the support staff, Aaron and Hillary, aren't just hidden back office admins. They are part of the front-facing experience.
That is a crucial distinction. In many businesses, the support staff is invisible, or they're the gatekeepers. Here, they're part of the value proposition.
It creates a layer of redundancy.
It does. If the main agent is busy, Aaron or Hillary is there to ensure the client still feels attended to. That is how you scale to 400 reviews without the quality dropping.
Okay, so you have proactive communication, you have a team structure supporting it. But let's be real, it is very easy to get a 5-star review when the market is hot.
Oh, sure. In a bull market, everyone looks like a genius.
Exactly. But what happens when things get messy? Because I'm looking at a review here from Jacob Campesi, and he drops a phrase that sets the scene perfectly. Unfavorable market.
Yes. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you separate the order takers from the actual professionals.
So Jacob is trying to sell in a tough climate. The easy thing to do here is to say, hey, sorry, market's bad. We just have to wait.
That is the passive approach. List it and pray. It transfers the blame.
Right. But listen to what Michael Smith did. Jacob says Michael went above and beyond, specifically hosting multiple open houses and organizing every step while, and I love this word choice, battling the market.
Battling. That implies active friction. It implies Michael didn't just wait for luck. He went out and manufactured traffic.
And the result? Jacob says he still secured their financial goal.
And that's the key. He didn't just sell it by slashing the price. He hit the number.
Yeah.
This is a critical lesson. A 5-star experience isn't about everything going perfectly.
No.
It's about how the provider acts when things go wrong. It's about grit. Michael showed grit.
Speaking of things getting complicated, we have to talk about Tabitha Fritz. This review kind of blew my mind because of the logistics involved.
The relocation scenario. This is the ultimate stress test.
Yeah. So Tabitha's moving out of state, nightmare logistics, right?
Sure.
Trying to sell here, buy there, coordinate moving trucks. And she worked with Kaylin Bratton.
Now, most agents would define their scope as, I sell the house in Baton Rouge. Once you cross the state line, you're on your own.
Not Kaylin. Tabitha says explicitly that Kaylin corresponded with our realtor in the state we were moving to. She literally reached out to the other agent.
And look at the specific benefit Tabitha mentions, skipping making us the middleman.
That resonates so hard. Don't make me the middleman.
Think about the cognitive load that takes off the client. Usually the client is the relay station. Agent A said this, so I have to call Agent B and tell them that. It's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
Kaylin understood her job wasn't just sell the house. Her job was help these people move their lives. By coordinating with the other agent, she extended her service way beyond the contract.
It's seeing the bigger picture. It's not about the transaction. It's about the transition.
Well said. And that is elite service.
Okay, so we have communication, team structure, and grit under pressure. But sometimes you don't need grit. Sometimes you just need speed.
Speed is a massive metric of competence. Time on market is the enemy.
I'm looking at Sarah Van Asselberg's review. She worked with Whitney Willard. She says Whitney helped them list and sell within 30 days. And she adds there were challenging situations.
30 days with challenges is impressive.
And then look at Brandon Barton. He worked with Richard Childress. He says, we had an offer within a week.
A week. That is lightning fast.
And Heather Lee, an offer within 2 weeks.
So we have a clear pattern of velocity here. But the question is how? Is it magic? Is it just luck?
The interview transcript gives us the answer, and it's not magic, it's marketing.
It's the presentation. The interview emphasizes professional photography, 3D virtual tours, and drone footage.
Heather Lake confirms this in her review. She says, the photographs and 3D tour made it easy to view the property.
We have to remember, the first showing doesn't happen when you unlock the front door.
Right.
The first showing happens on a smartphone screen while someone is sitting on their couch. If the photos are bad, the buyer never even gets in the car. They clearly invest heavily in that digital curb appeal.
But there's another layer to this speed, and it's one that might be uncomfortable for some people. It's about the hard conversations.
I know exactly where you're going.
Look at Brandon Barton's review again. He says, Richard Childress made some suggestions to improve our listing, and it totally worked.
Made some suggestions. That is polite code for, he told us to fix our house.
Yes. The interview transcript mentions decluttering, painting, rearranging furniture.
This is where a lot of agents fail. It's awkward to walk into someone's home and tell them their furniture is wrong, or they have too much stuff.
It feels personal.
It is personal. And so, a 3-star agent becomes a yes man. They say, oh, your house is beautiful, don't change a thing. Then it sits for 6 months.
And everyone loses.
Exactly. A 5-star agent, like Richard, has the professional courage to say, look, if you want an offer in a week, you need to move that couch and paint that wall. He risked a moment of awkwardness to deliver a result.
And because of that, Brandon got an offer in a week.
Resulting in trust. Trust isn't built by just being nice. It's built by being competent and honest.
That leads perfectly to the ultimate proof that this whole system works. We can talk about speed and marketing all day, but the only thing that really proves you did a good job is if the person comes back.
Retention. The holy grail of business.
Cindy Blash. This review is powerful. She says, this is my second experience selling a home with Trey Willard.
Second experience. That means she went through the stress of moving once, used Trey, and when it was time to do it again, she didn't even hesitate.
She didn't shop around. She mentions being met with generosity, support, and encouragement.
Those are emotional words. Not efficiency and accuracy. She said generosity. That implies she felt cared for.
And here's my aha moment looking at all this. We've mentioned a lot of names. Trey, Michael, Whitney, Richard, Kaylin, Aaron, Hillary. And then there's a review from just 3 days ago mentioning Mikey.
Right. A whole cast of characters.
But if you read these reviews without the names, they all sound like they're talking about the same person. They all use the same words: professional, communicative, above and beyond.
That is the definition of a system. The W Group hasn't just hired good people. They have instilled a culture. Whether you get Trey, the owner, or Mikey, you get a unified standard of care.
That is so hard to do.
It is incredibly difficult. It means their training, their values, their checklists are so tight that the client experience is consistent regardless of who is wearing the jersey. That is how you get to 400 reviews.
So let's bring this all together. If we had to boil down the anatomy of this 5-star experience into 3 pillars for everyone listening, what are they?
I'd say pillar 1 is radical transparency and education. We saw this with Jessica Hunt. Don't just transact, educate. Make the invisible visible so people don't panic.
I like that. Make the invisible visible.
Pillar 2 is the coordinated team ecosystem, the quarterback concept. You need operations and marketing in the background so the agent can focus on the client. It isn't a solo sport.
And pillar 3.
Proactive problem solving. Whether it's Michael battling a tough market or Kellen calling an agent in another state, it's about grit and extending the service beyond the bare minimum.
And doing the hard work, the truth-telling like Richard did, to get that speed.
Exactly. It's about outcome over comfort.
So here's the takeaway for you listening right now. Maybe you aren't selling houses. Maybe you're selling software, or you run a coffee shop.
The principle remains the same. Social proof, like having 400 people publicly vouch for you, isn't an accident. It's the result of a system where every single client feels like the only client.
Cindy Blash felt like the only client. Jessica Hunt felt like the only client.
Even though there were hundreds of others. That's the magic trick.
Before we sign off, I want to leave you with a thought you brought up during our prep, and honestly, it's kind of terrifying.
It is a little provocative. But I want you to imagine your own work, whatever it is you do, emails, meetings, deliverables. Imagine if every single person you interacted with today was prompted to leave a public Google review of your performance.
Every email reply, every Zoom call.
Every single one. Would you have the systems, the patience, and the consistency to hit 4.9 stars across 400 consecutive tries?
That puts things in perspective. It's easy to be 5 stars once on a good day.
It's incredibly hard to be 5 stars 400 times in a row. Consistency is the hardest skill to master.
Huge congratulations to the W Group on that milestone. And thank you to you, the listener, for diving deep with us today.
It is a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.